Hi everyone, Krista Cowan here with another episode of The Barefoot Genealogist. Today we are talking about Family Tree Maker. For those of you who aren't aware, Family Tree Maker is a desktop software program. You put it on your computer, and then with version 2012 of Family Tree Maker, you can actually sync it with your online tree on Ancestry.com so that you have that information readily available in both places. Also serves as a little bit of a backup. Now, for those of you who have Family Tree Maker, hopefully today there will be one or two new things that maybe you didn't know Family Tree Maker could do that will spark your interest or help you use it a little bit better. For those of you who don't have Family Tree Maker, I certainly don't want this to sound like a sales pitch. However, I'm really passionate about it. I use Family Tree Maker and love it, and I'm so excited about the power and the possibilities and the just what's available to me in the software. So it was really difficult for me to narrow it down to 5 things that I love about it, but I've tried to make them a little bit broader topics so that I can talk about a few extra things under each topic. So if you have any questions about Family Tree Maker or after the presentation, pay attention. Some of your questions may be answered. But if you have any questions after the presentation and you're watching this live, I will be available on chat immediately following the presentation to answer some of those questions. So let's dive in with reason number 1 why I use Family Tree Maker and love it. It is just the ease of use and the navigation. And I'll show this to you in just a minute. I don't expect you, when I show you my Family Tree Maker, I don't expect you to be able to read everything on the screen. It's a little bit smaller and maybe a little bit blurry for some of you depending on your internet connection speed. The purpose is not for you to be able to read every birth date and place on my screen. The purpose is for you just to get a general idea of the layout and how it all works. So, reason number 1 that I love Family Tree Maker is the ease of use and the navigation. All information is available on one screen, so it's all in one place. And this is my personal favorite. I don't have to wait for pages to load. Every time I click to a new person or want to look at a list or whatever, like I'm not waiting for the internet to load that particular page. So let me just show you what that looks like. Here is my Family Tree Maker. You can see there is a pedigree. This is my grandfather here. There's a pedigree chart right here. I can click on his name, and over here, or my, whoever, right? You'll notice every time I click on a name in my tree, it does 2 things. One, it changes this personal information panel over here on the right-hand side. So I just click on it and it gives me the information about that person. It also changes the family or the family group sheet information down here at the bottom of my screen. So in one pedigree view, I can just click my way around my tree, again, noticing I'm not having to wait for an internet page to load every single time I do that. I can just click my way through that pedigree or through this family group sheet and get the personal information about the person over here. Now, this panel over here is fully customizable. There's a little customize button down here, and so I can put whatever information I want in this screen. I've chosen to put birth, death, marriage, and then I have some personal values that I have added, things about DNA and online trees and Facebook and whatever. Like, this is just information that I've added into my database as customized facts, and I include that in that screen for my purposes. But I could add a burial fact, a christening fact, anything that's in your family tree, either online or in Family Tree Maker, I can add to this view. Now, if I want to see the full information about the person, I just click over here to this Person tab, and now this is the person that I was on, and I have information about him and the notes that I've included about him, and I have access to all of that information from this screen as well. But I do most of my work, probably about 80% of my work from this particular view, where I just have access to all of this information. Now, there's this other handy little thing that I can do. I can pop out a list over here, and this is a complete index of everyone in my tree. So if I wanted to jump to somebody specific in my tree, I could do that just by typing in their name, and now here I am on that person in my tree. So I have, again, I'm not waiting for this list to load. I'm not having to click through screens to get to the S's or having to do a search. I just type it in and up it pops. So the ease of use, not waiting for pages to load, being able to just navigate my way around my tree very quickly and easily is a huge benefit. The other thing, and this is just kind of a fun thing that I really enjoy here, is when you're looking at anybody in your tree, actually let's pull up Walter. When you're looking at anybody in your tree, I'm set as the home person in my tree. You can see that over here because it gives me the relationship of this person to me. When I'm looking at this family group, I don't know if you can tell this, there's little arrows, and I love this. A dark arrow means they have children. A clear arrow means they do not. Now, obviously, he doesn't have children because he died as an infant, but I don't have to click down to view his information or his family information in order to see that. I can tell right from this screen. Dark arrows have children, white arrows do not. Now there's this orange arrow, and that's there because that's my grandfather. So I can tell just by looking at this list of people who my direct ancestor is because I'm set as the home person in this tree. So again, that ease of use and navigation and moving my way around my tree, I just love that because it's fast and I'm impatient maybe. Okay, number 2, and this is important to a lot of us, I can, in Family Tree Maker, privatize specific media. So I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures of my ancestors. And that's great because I want to upload those to my tree. I want everybody to be able to have access to those and to be able to see those. I also have a lot of pictures of living people where I do a lot of descendancy research. So I have myself and my brothers and sisters and their kids. I have a lot of my cousins and their children. And I have pictures of all of them. And I've attached those pictures. But I don't want to upload those pictures to my online tree because I don't want the pictures of those living people made available publicly. Now, you may have different reasons for what you do or don't want to make public or private. You may have a document that you've received that that tells a story that is maybe a little bit more scandalous or that is sensitive that you don't want people to necessarily have access to. You may have a set of pictures that you got from a relative, and part of the agreement when you received those was that you wouldn't make them publicly available. Whatever your reason is, a lot of people, they have little things like that, and so they choose to make their entire tree online private just to keep those few pieces of media private. Well, when you have Family Tree Maker, you can do that at an individual picture or document level. You can just say, you know what, I want to keep this private, and that one document or that one picture that you privatize will then never be uploaded to your online tree. So there are a couple of different places you can do this. In every person's screen, there is a media tab. And so I could click here and say, you know, I want to mark this specific piece of media private. There is also a whole media section where you can see all of the media that's in your tree. I mean, every single piece of media in your tree. You can sort it by category. I categorize my media by, you know, census records or photos or whatever. And so I can look at my media in that fashion. And then any single piece of media I select, I can just come over here and I can mark it private. And then that single piece of media will not be uploaded to my online tree. You'll notice there's a little, you might not be able to see this, but there's a little lock that appears on the picture so that I can tell at a glance what media has been privatized and what media has not. And, you know, if the person passes away or if enough time passes or whatever reason I may have, I can then unprivatize that media so that it's then available in my online tree. So remember, with Family Tree Maker, I sync it with my online tree. and then these specific pieces of media do not get synced if they are marked private. That's how that works. So media privatization is something that is important to many of you, and that's something you can do with Family Tree Maker 2012. So you can still make your tree publicly available on Ancestry.com, still have that media attached to your tree in your software on your desktop. Okay, reason number 3 that I love Family Tree Maker is the opportunity, and I hope I explained this right. I played around with the language a little bit, but the opportunity to explore possibilities. So my tree online at Ancestry.com is public. Don't go looking for it because I don't need you all pointing out all of my errors and mistakes. But it gives me the opportunity to explore possibilities. So if I get information that, here's an ancestor, go check this out. Oftentimes I want to explore that. I want to see if this really is the right person. I want to put them in my tree and see what hints Ancestry.com comes up with. But I don't want it in my online tree where just anybody can see that and take it and copy it as if it was, the truth before I've proven it. And so it allows me to do some of that. I just don't sync my tree, my desktop tree, with my online tree. I don't sync them until I've proven or disproven that theory. And of course, then if I disprove it, I can really easily and quickly delete those people and their whatever media I may or may not have attached out of my tree without it affecting my online public tree. So it allows me to explore possibilities. It allows me to check out hints for people. It also allows me to, if I have information, like I've received GEDCOMs from cousins and family information from other people, and sometimes I want to take the time, when I have the time, to verify that information before I make it public and put my name on it. Sometimes I want to, check their research, make sure that they've done it correctly. So all of this, Family Tree Maker allows me to do all of that on my desktop software. I just don't sync it to my online tree until I know that that piece of information is accurate or somehow verified. Okay, so it's just a handy way. You'll see here, and I'm sure I'll get asked this question. I have these 2 little arrows up here. It means that Family Tree Maker has changes that need to be synced with my online tree. I have my sync options set to do it manually. I do not do it automatically for a couple of reasons. One, because I want to control when I sync my tree or don't sync my tree. Another reason is when it's automatic, sometimes I have discovered that there are some problems, depending on what internet I'm connected to and whether the internet is running at a high speed at the moment, or if there are interruptions. It just sometimes if it hangs up or causes a problem, then I have to go through the whole unlink my tree, relink my tree, resync everything, and it's just kind of a big pain. And so I've decided for myself that I am going to only sync my tree manually. I also show the change log before syncing because I want to see exactly what is going to sync. And I also have this selected, download citation media from Ancestry, which means that if I've attached a census record, it doesn't just attach the citation that they were found in this census, but it actually downloads the image of the census to my computer as well. So again, that's found in your sync options. If you just come up here, click on sync options, switch this to manual. Of course, that means you have to remember to run that sync. It's not going to happen automatically for you without thinking. If I've been doing a lot of work in Family Tree Maker and I haven't synced my changes in a while, then I may run the risk of losing those if I haven't backed up or whatever. So you have to remember to actually run that sync. But it allows you to do some of these things where you can play around with some things or some possibilities or options before you actually do that. Okay, number 4, and this is probably the number one thing we get asked the most questions about whenever we put up a request on Facebook for suggestions or ideas. One of the things that comes up over and over and over again is this idea that people want to be able to query or search their own tree based on whatever criteria. Probably the number one request we get is by place. They want to be able to pull up a list of everybody in their tree who ever lived in this specific location or who died in this county so that they can go, look for tombstones or, just there's also the option of querying by time frame. Of course, we know that all women should be entered into your family tree by their maiden name, right? We don't include their married names in their name because we then marry them and that shows up that way. But Family Tree Maker allows you to search by whatever kind of query or parameters you want to search by. If I want to pull up a list of everybody who's ever been affiliated with Henderson County, North Carolina, that's on my mind, or if I want to do a search for anybody in my database who is a male who was born in the time frame that would have required them to be registered for the World War I draft, or if I want to pull up a list of all women named Sarah who are married to a Shipman man, right? I can do that in Family Tree Maker. I can't do that in my online tree. That kind of query power or database power just isn't there. And yet it can be or is in your software. Now, I could do a whole presentation, I probably should, on how to run these queries, but let me just show you a few examples. I do most of my queries just for query's sake in this index panel here. I have a filter button and it brings up this list so I can say, I want to find out all of let's pull up Jacob Shipman, and I want the Jacob Shipman that was born in, let's try that again. Jacob Shipman. I don't think that's the right one. Let's try this one. And I want a list of all of the descendants of this person. So everybody who descends from this one man. I can do that, and it creates a list over here, and it tells me that there's 5,358 people in my database who are descendants of this particular Jacob Shipman. When I click OK, what happens then over here is that's all that shows up in my list. So I can work my way through this list of people over here as descendants of this man, and it gives me a focus for my research. So it's just a different way to view your data, and I can, again, like I said, I can do it by place. If I wanted to see, let me just exclude all. I want to filter in anybody who has a place that contains Henderson, North Carolina, anywhere in, they were born there, married there, died there, whatever, anybody who's affiliated ever in their life with this particular location, it's going to query my database. And sometimes, because my database is big, these queries take just a few minutes. And then it gives me this list of 459 people in my database who are affiliated with that particular location. In this case, she was born there, she died there, her children were all born there, right? And I can then work with a specific location that way. I could also further filter my list. So I have this list. I could say, you know what, I want to filter out. So I've filtered in everybody associated with Henderson County. I now want to filter out anybody who was born after 1900. I'm just looking for people who were born before 1900 or lived there before 1900. And now my list is down to 161 people. So if I'm working with the census in that location and I want to see what surnames I should be paying attention to in that place as I go through the censuses in that county, then there's a list, right? So that's just, like I said, I could do a whole presentation on filters. I love them. I use them extensively in my research, and it helps to keep me focused. It helps to give me search direction and opportunity. It also helps me to make sure that I'm collecting information about entire families, which always helps me break through my brick walls. Okay, we only have a couple more minutes, so let's move on. Number 5, and it's kind of related to number 4. Another thing that we get asked questions about a lot are how to create charts or reports. I want to create a pedigree chart. I want to see a list of all the people in my tree. I want to be able to print out something. A lot of you are still very much tactile people like I am. You want something that you can hold in your hands or hang on your wall. I've got a fan chart and a pedigree chart, both plastered on my wall in my at my desk here at work. So I need that. I want to be able to have that readily accessible to me or to share with other people. And so in Family Tree Maker, there is just about no end to the kinds of genealogical reports and charts you can create. You can also run customized lists based on any one of those filters that we just talked about. So I could run a list of the data error report. I did a whole presentation on this, and I'll link to it when I upload this video to YouTube. The data error report is fantastic. It lets me go through, or it does it for me. It goes through my database and it looks for obvious errors. Things like, mothers who are, under the age of 13 when their children are being born, or children who were born after their mothers died, or, marriages before the age of 10 or whatever. Like, it runs through, I think there's probably 13 or 14 different types of data errors that I could have it check for. And then it creates this list so that I can go through and make some of those changes, clean some of those things up, figure out where I went horribly wrong, or did I just type the wrong century, which sometimes happens too. I can also create to-do lists, which you can do on your online tree, but this allows me to print that list out. I can create those location-based lists if I'm going to traipse around a cemetery, for example, and I want to print out a list of everybody I know who died in that county to take with me to the cemetery. I can do that. Let me just show you where to find those reports. They're going to be under this Publish button here. You can click on here and you can see over here I have charts, so pedigree charts, descendants charts, relationship charts, just any kind of possible way to view the information in your ancestry. I also have genealogy reports where I can actually print out, I know a lot of you like to print out all of the details about somebody and put them in binders or folders. It allows you to do that. I can print reports about individual people. Notes, here's my task list. I can do a timeline report for individuals or for families, which I love because it puts the timeline of the whole family in one view. I can do surname reports. That's always fun. Just lots of anything. Like there's really, we've created some standard reports, but you also have the option to create any kind of a custom report. Any piece of information that you want to pull out and create a report or a list about, you can do that. You can create reports about your media, how it's being used, who it's attached to. You can create reports about your sources if you want to check what things you've documented or what things you haven't documented with actual records, proving this or disproving this information. And then, of course, you can create books or things that you can publish yourself or have us publish for you. Now, every one of those reports, anytime you create a report, you have the option over here to share that report. And that can be either exported to a PDF, it can be exported to an Excel spreadsheet, it can be exported to create a web page if you want to put it on your own blog, or create a page, separate page for your family. So there's lots of options to take this information. You don't have to just print it out. You can also export it into other electronic formats. I know a lot of times people will take these person reports, create a timeline report for the family, export it as a PDF document, and then attach that document back to that person as a piece of media that they upload to their tree so that it's then available for everyone. So the possibilities are only as limited as your imagination or as what data you have available. So lots of ways to create those reports and charts. Now, of course, I couldn't limit it to 5. I tried. I really tried. So you're going to get a bonus tip here right at the end. And that bonus tip is something that is important to a lot of you. It means that if you have your tree in software instead of just online at Ancestry.com, you have that tree available to you when you are offline. If you're not connected to the internet, you still have access to your tree. If you want to take a break from your Ancestry.com subscription for a month or two, no problem. You still have access to your tree, which actually you do on Ancestry.com as well. And maybe you didn't know that. If you let your subscription lapse for a little while, you still have access to your tree. What you don't have access to are any of the documents that you have attached to your tree out of our databases. So if you've uploaded media, pictures, whatever on your own, you still have access to those. But if you let your subscription lapse, you can't click through like to the 1910 census and view that image. But if you have synced your online tree with Family Tree Maker, that 1910 census image has been downloaded to your computer. So you do still have access to it there. Even if your subscription is lapsed for a period of time for whatever reason. So that offline availability is fantastic. I use it quite regularly. Anytime I'm on an airplane, or if I'm sitting in the home of a family member and I want to show them the family tree or what we're doing, I can do that without having to be connected to the internet. So lots of really great reasons to love Family Tree Maker. I have done some previous presentations that dive a little bit more into detail on how to do some of the things that we talked about today. As I mentioned, when I upload this to our YouTube channel, I will be sure in the description to list links to some of those other videos so that you can view them if you choose to do so. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. If you're watching this live, I will be on chat in just a few minutes to answer whatever additional questions you may have. And we've got our May calendar. I've started uploading it onto Facebook. It should be finished probably by today or tomorrow. We should have the whole month uploaded so that you can see what our events are for the month of May. Until next time, this is Krista Cowan. Have fun climbing your family tree.